Want to welcome you folks tonight, Monday, June 19th. It's 6:14, and we're here at the Municipal Safety Building. And on the agenda for this evening, we've got public comments, minutes for approval. Beth Remenar for the sand and salt shed, Michael Jarvis, Bernard and Jarvis, and Parent Project County Road, Garrett Wolski, ambulance director, and executive session. And here with me tonight, I'm Pierre Letourneau, and with me is the following. If you'll introduce yourselves.
Dean Wright. Phil Robley.
Billy Joe.
Thank you. So, any changes to the agenda? The only thing I have for a footnote, and that is that we discuss our next meeting for next month. But, you know. So with that being said, we'll jump right in. Public comment.
Just did it.
Okay. So then we have no minutes.
I forgot them.
Okay. All right. So
We did 3 last time.
yeah, is Joey coming for?
He's supposed to be coming.
I was assuming so.
Because
Let me
like
text him. And
we're right on time.
Even if I am. I know Pierre would make that time. Is your water cleared up and been okay since they tested it the other day? Did the well test?
Measured the other well out back. That well is pretty much right where that well is in the hole.
Yeah,
So they're both the same.
same level of water,
Are we starting on this?
So I mean, does Joey kind of really need to be here, or?
he doesn't really need to be here for Bethany's report unless she thinks he is, because you were going to report first, right?
Yeah, I think that'd be good first, and I know that Marguerite and Tim wanted to talk about the well under this agenda item.
Okay.
And so I'm assuming like if we can get that kind of business done, I have some invoice stuff and payment stuff to talk about. And then if there's further discussion that you need to do under executive session, we can do that later. If we get into some contracting and talking about resuming construction.
All right. So how do you? Oh, good.
And
All right.
Joey's
So Joey Clark's here as our road foreman, and so scooch chairs up and.
Move all of them?
Might as well, yeah.
Front and center, okay.
Yeah, so like I said, I have a couple things to run through with you, but I think first if we can talk about the well testing that has happened and
Yeah, sure.
possible
I'll share
options
with
for
you.
moving forward with that.
I'll share with you.
You want one, Joey?
I just gave him mine.
I think I've got one.
Okay.
This is one from Dwayne.
Okay, so this right here is the first test that we did with Dwayne Feely. The static level in the well has gone down, pretty much ruined the wells. From when we pulled the pump in Chevalier, the water level from the pitless down to where the rust level was about 4 feet. And now it's at the bottom of the hole, which that day there was 16.5 feet down. And Bethany has the papers from Chevalier that they did it last Friday, and now it's 19.5 feet down just by digging the hole on the other side of the lot. Like I said, both wells are exactly the same height now with water. And the pump is in about 4 feet of water right now. Any other construction down further will drain the wells.
What was the date on this?
That was when they first started digging. I noticed the date wasn't on it. I can probably find out though, what the date is. That was about a month prior. That was before they dug the hole toward the actual garage. That was just the hole when they dug it toward the roadside.
So this one right here, to whom it may concern. When was this dug? This,
That one there, I'm gonna have to get you a date. I noticed there was no date on it.
okay,
That one-
so it's like
prior to.
10 years prior, okay?
No,
So that
No.
your person just wrote this letter.
he just did it. We just did this.
Okay,
We did the test prior to them digging the second hole on the other side. So it was about a month ago that we did that. She got it on her phone, I'm sure,
okay.
on the date. You did it on your phone?
We met with Dwayne that fall on Friday.
Yeah, it was here on.
Yeah, I can pull up the date that I know the date that we met with Dwayne, I can pull that up, and
Yeah, that was,
did
yeah,
he write the letter for that meeting, or was that letter,
yeah,
he wrote it for that meeting?
yeah.
Okay, but I can get the date, just so we have it for,
Yeah, I think he had it too,
Awareness.
like a few days before, because I remember when I talked to him Thursday night, he said he was gonna tell you it was okay to
Yeah.
let us have a copy of it.
Did he pump it down to come up with the gallons per minute?
He did
or
not
was that
pump it down,
just-
we were just getting static levels of where it was and where it is now, and the static level's gone. So it's down to the actual hole, the water in the hole is exactly the same. We had it measured, with, I don't know what they call it, transit. They measured the whole water, and then we measured in the well, and it's exactly the same. And the more gravel you take away, the worse it
You
gets.
measured the water in the hole at the site there?
Yes, with the transit, and then we measured it in the well at the same time,
It's the same level.
same level.
and I think it's
Mass
May
drop down.
12th, Friday, May 12th. Sounds, that would be about a little more than a month ago.
I know it was a Friday.
You know it was a Friday, because we were
Every Friday.
standing around looking at a ditch.
It's every Friday for a while.
Yeah, it makes sense, 'cause I remember going by when you guys were all up there.
Yeah, I could probably, actually, I can tell you exactly, I haven't thought about it.
So I think, and I don't know if you have more context to add before I kind of get to the,
I don't,
Over it
I
now.
just wanted to make sure that everybody knew that the well levels are all the same, and the static level's gone. And when we put the pitless on top of the well, there was no water until we dropped it down in. And the unfortunate thing is I don't know how much gravel's filled into that well, you know, because it was dug in, like in 40s
May
or something.
26, actually.
So it's probably filled in, so I don't know that the
May
screen is
26,
an
okay.
option.
May 26.
For one, and the other thing is, who's taking responsibility for that? Because now we're gonna have to put a screen in, it has to be maintained, so if that's even a possibility. And now, I don't know how they put it in, but the drill rig might have to put that in, or they're gonna have to hammer it down in. I'm not for sure how that works, we'd have to find that out too. You get a screen into that well. And the problem was the power lines.
the problem is the what?
The power lines, there's no, you can't drill deeper, you can't,
Yeah.
unless you take all power lines down.
So based on, and Joey corrected me, he thinks that it was May 26th that we met with,
Yes, it was, because this is Dwayne's text to me saying,
perfect.
on my way, be there in about 5 minutes, this is after you got done with the golf course.
Okay. So after, you know, so when kind of, it was Larry was there and Joey and Marguerite, you were there, and Tim and Dwayne were there. And so that was the first time with the construction inspector. Was the contractor there? Or were they not there that day?
No,
But essentially that was kind of like the,
well, Mel Brooks guy happened to be around,
okay.
his site guy, and so he came up and was kind of listening in while the call was made.
But that, I mean, I look at that date as kind of like, you know, a milestone in that, you know, Margaret and Tim raised this issue of concerns about this well. And this well is on town property and in the deeds, for the properties, for the West Enosburgh store and the others. They have the non-exclusive right to water at the well. And so, based on Dwayne's, that meeting that day, that's really when we started working with the select board and talking about this issue, and the design engineer raising it, is this a concern? Does anything differently have to happen with design? How do we move forward? So that's been going on, and we've, the select board, as you've been trying to, look at this issue, specifically this one, we have other issues with the project, but this was the one that's kind of like time critical. You made the decision, and concurred with stopping work, and you stopped work on the June 2nd. Because they've stopped work all last week and the week before. So Friday, June 2nd, you've stopped work, and so the contractor has been stopped as we try to work through this. As a next step, it seemed important to go and actually do additional tests on the well to see what could be happening. So the town, you've authorized me to work with Chevalier to get a test. Originally, we're thinking maybe like a camera test, and then everyone's like, no, you can't do that, and because it's a gravel well, it's not a bedrock well. So, Chevalier agreed that a camera test is not going to tell us what we want to know. Because what we want to know is, as the town moves forward with construction, making sure that you have water in the end. That's what we're working towards. So Chevalier did the test on Thursday, and you have the results there that were emailed out. So the static water level in this report is 20 feet below the land surface. And then the operator, and Joey and Tim were seeing this. If I'm saying anything wrong, please let me know. The operator first set the his test pump at 40 feet below the surface level, and tested how many gallons per minute, which was the 10 gallons per minute. And then he took the owner's pump, raised it 10 feet to that 30 feet, and that 30 feet is where you could typically keep your...
That's where we had to have it, because it was burning the pumps up.
Yeah.
Filling up the stones.
And they did a test at that 30 feet, and the pump test yielded 3 gallons per minute at 30 feet. And so, one thing that Chevalier has suggested as a potential, because the lower you go, the more water there is. But you currently don't keep your well at that 40 feet because of the sediment burning out the pump. One thing that was suggested is if during construction, if the static level further drops and drops below that 30 feet where the well is, and the well pump needs to be dropped further, one potential solution for the sediment issue that burns out the pump is doing what's called a sand separator. I got it? Which essentially it creates, does it create current, or it creates a centrifuge?
It circulates water every so often, so it has a screen on the outside, so when the gravel sand gets stuck to the outside, it circulates water, blows it out. I don't know how often, I don't know, Zoe said, it probably can be regulated or programmed to come on.
And apparently with that, there's maintenance, because sometimes they plug. Even though that it does circulate, blow sand out, there's maintenance to that. So sometimes they have to come and blow it out more to get the sand out of it. So it's a solution, but not a perfect solution to it. There's going to be a lot of downtime with it, I think. But I don't know, I've never seen them work, and I was just told today that there's quite a bit of maintenance to it.
Yeah, this sand separator system, are they talking about using it all the time, or just if they have to drop it during construction.
No, it's a permanent installation,
Okay.
that goes with, that goes down there. And my assumption, because I was like, I had no idea of cost, and I was like, thinking big numbers, and they're talking a couple thousand, all told. I mean, he said less, but I'm just
But the
inflating.
next thing is how do they get it in there? That was a question, it was raised today too. How do they get it in there? They have to do with a drill rig, or do they just pound it down in there somehow?
I think it's just lowered down in there. Who'd you talk to today, Tim? Dwayne?
Because there's different, I guess there's different solutions to that. I
Yeah.
don't know that much about that part yet. We're just mainly checking the other well, because the other well is at exactly the same depth for water static level as the one across the road. So it's affected both of them in the end. And as you go down, especially if they want to put a 6-inch drainage tile at the bottom of that, there's gonna be no water down quite a ways. And just by digging that hole across the driveway, it dropped it, 4 feet or whatever it was, from the time that we checked it with Dwayne till the time Chevalier came. So it's changed the water in the ground, and even if you raise the building at this point, I don't know that the damage is gonna be repaired.
I don't know if the water levels really changed from when Dwayne was there, has it?
I did check it out, it's gone down quite a bit.
Because they said that the difference was 20 feet at the time.
Yeah, and Dwayne's was 16,
Today?
well, no, when we measured it a month ago, it was 16 and a half, and now it's at 20, so it's 4 feet, 3.5 feet. So it's gone down quite a bit more.
But when you're saying digging across the road, you're talking about the foundation
Yes,
and that whole process.
just by digging that on the
Not-
other side, changes
Not
the
other
water,
holes, it's just,
changes the water in the ground. And when you keep it going down, it's gonna change the water as it goes down. You're gonna find that it's, the damage is done, and I don't know that you can repair it.
Yeah, well, and I think, I'm not sure if damage is the right word. I think it's a matter of, getting to that question of, where can the under drain go? How low can it go? And there still be water, in that well. I think that's what we're all around here trying to answer that question. The town wants you to have water in that well.
We're not out to take the water, for sure.
Well, no, and it don't, 5 years ago, when the state was there, I told them not to be that close to the well. If they'd have moved it back more, I think we would have been fine. I don't think it would have bothered that much, but being right on top of it like that, there's no way you can not disturb it. There's, just opening the ground up, it lets everything out. It's like
Yeah.
punching a hole in the bathtub.
so the thing is that, how much more do we have to go down to meet?
Another 4 feet.
Okay, so that's one thing.
And then where does the drainage tile go after that? Does that go down below that?
Right there.
At 4 feet?
Yeah. Right beside the foot.
Okay, and then, on this sediment pump and everything, right? All that is a piece of equipment, water pump style, that is lowered, and is this being done by hand, or is this something like you're doing yourselves, or Chevalier's is doing?
We can't upload it.
Yeah, it would be,
Have to be
a
professional,
well
so,
company that
Okay,
does the
okay,
work.
no, I just,
Yeah,
And then maintenance comes along with it.
yes, because it's one of those of, you're gonna have to pull the thing out, clean it, put it back down.
I don't know
Yeah.
the process of it, I didn't get into it, but I should have asked the day that he was talking about it. I didn't really know how it works, I didn't really
Right,
get into it.
right.
yeah, but I think it's, the other solutions of drilling down further because of the utilities, that seems
That's the problem. Everything's-
really challenging, and this seems like an option worth exploring if the static level, goes below where we need it to go. If it goes below and the supply of water is impacted. So I think, having all those options available, and then, the town deciding how, what steps you're gonna be working on in order to address that.
Okay.
I think the important thing is that, you know, the town, you know, taking the step to get this measurement, is important, and you have some measurements, you know, some documentation you provided from Dwayne. If the town moves forward with the project, you know, we've already lined Valley up for a post, you know, well, you know, I think we could be thinking about, does it make sense, instead of just doing post step, but doing another one after, the,
Project has been completed,
pardon?
after the project has been completed.
Well, they're already on the hook for that, but Valley is gonna do that, but I'm even thinking, and I haven't talked this over with Joey, I'm just thinking out loud, is doing a test right after, like, the footers are at the elevation that they're going to be.
If they go down 4 feet, we'll better up.
So the pump's at 30 and the water level's at 20 right now, right? Is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah,
Well, yeah,
yeah, that's what they said the other day.
But I
Yeah,
can tell you the
but-
stormwater and the house water, when you turn it on now, I'm getting air. So, you know what I mean, it's like, so when you turn it on, it like shoots, and it like, the water like stops, I forget what you call it. What is that? It's like it's spitting,
yeah, it's
you know what I mean?
the sucking air.
Second air.
Is that just something that we're doing
That's what the
since
water's
Friday?
doing right now.
Well, it's, I noticed it after that, but that
Right.
could be because.
That's gonna, right,
You're
they're
gonna have a
gonna,
little
once they
bit-
pull that pump, you're gonna have.
You have a little bit of
air
air.
to that purge air off of it.
Yeah, I think that's probably what it is, but I don't notice it so much at the store, probably should notice it at the house. But, putting the pump down in the well, it took quite a ways down before we hit water. So, I don't think the pump is in that much water, to be honest with you.
Well, I guess I'm confused by that, you're talking about the one on the
Remember-
town property?
Yeah, remember he had it up on top, there was no water, and we lowered it down in, we got water. But it was down in quite a ways before we got water.
Well,
Yeah, you lower it
isn't
to
it,
another 4 feet
Yeah.
to get water.
So it, just by doing that, the water level is, the pump isn't in that much water. I can't tell exactly how much water it's in, but, and I don't know if it's exactly, that is exactly 30 feet. We probably should have measured the pipe before we put it back down in the pump.
Yeah, we should have.
Didn't
So-
even think of it at the time.
The well that's on the town property, which property of yours is that be?
All of it. The house, the store, everything.
Well, then which one, behind the
Trailer.
trailer, which one does that one? be?
Trailer.
Yeah.
And that one, like I said, they're all the same level as far as water level in the wells right now.
So probably going forward a little bit, just to clarify things, is
Yeah.
to identify our wells, you know,
absolutely, yeah.
A, B, C, cause it's like, alright, I'm lost, cause it's like, okay, that pump, you know, we're good here, we're bad there, but we don't know about this one, and
So,
Yeah, no, I
so do
agree
you,
with that,
do you
because-
have access to
It's
the
like-
trailer, that's how you know that that one's doing funny things?
She owns that one too.
No, but, do you have tenants in there, did you go
No.
in there, turn the water on, and it was acting weird or something?
No, that one don't act weird yet. That one could be down further, the pump could be down further, but we had to raise that one too.
Oh, I thought, I must have misunderstood, I thought you said that one was affected too,
No.
and she said that.
The water level is well affected, right?
Okay.
Yeah, the water levels in the well are affected, they're both the same, they're both the same vein. And the pump in the trailer, I think, is down a little bit further.
Well, we can't be sure that it's on the same vein without
It is on
some
the same vein.
hydrologist maybe.
No, it is on the same vein. It's right directly in row, it's exactly the same footage, same gravel, it's the same well.
Yeah. Well, I think to Pierre's point about, you know, we're getting confused about the wells, because they're not labeled. And I know that your water, because you're a public water supply for the store, and you get testing through that.
Yep.
And I think, maybe I'm misunderstanding, but I think DEC thinks that you're pulling from a different well. There's some kind of paperwork confusion there, so I think just, you know, for getting clarity, you know, making sure that those dots are connected, and that, you know, that DEC knows that the well that is on the town property is your public water supply that's feeding the store. I think that's important documentation for the town to have. And just so we can kind of keep all of that straight.
What do you wanna do, label AB, just an AB?
I mean, so that documentation, is that coming from Tim and Margaret, or is that coming from us,
Documentation of
what you
the,
just said,
Labeling
the
wells.
labeling?
So some of the problem with this well is because it's old and it doesn't have an ID.
Right.
And
No,
so,
but for our project here, it's who is going to,
well, I talked about that with the driller, because I said, is there a way that this can get an ID? Because I think it is important. If it is a public water source and it's, getting tested and being fed to the store, that I feel like it needs to be on the site, that we all need to be agreeing, what water's coming where, and getting tested how. And I asked the well driller person, how do we get an ID? And he was kind of saying, we don't really, they're old, we don't really do it. He did say if there are improvements made to do an ID. And I don't know if this sand separator, if that's the direction that things go in, if that's enough to get an ID on it. But I do think it's important.
And I think when they drill or they fracked it or something like that, that's what they consider an improvement. But I'm not for sure. I would think that would be, because that would be changing the volume of water and different things like that.
Yeah, but again, it's just like, without having an ID, it gets really confusing, and I think the DEC has a different well on your property listed as your public well. So,
Well, there is one up and back. That one does 3 gallons a minute, isn't enough to run everything.
yeah.
And this one here is 3 gallons a minute, and it's not gonna be running everything, meeting where the pump is right now. Because there's actually no static level over and above the well pump enough to, when it pumps, if everything was on, it would suck air. It just hasn't happened too much, so, and that's the factor. Once you get a pump in there and you're only in 3-4 feet of water, then, yeah.
So I know that, you would prefer town not go forward with construction.
Well, no, I don't care what they did. I just told them that they couldn't be that close and they don't need to be down that deep. But now, even filling the holes in, I don't know if it's gonna stop the reroute of the water. That's a factor. That's the only factor, there is. Because once you change the route of water, it may not come back. And it may change it totally. You never know. Water's weird.
Yeah.
Have
And
you
that's
ever run
100
out of water before?
Huh?
Have you ever run out of water?
100 gallons a minute.
So you've never?
Now, well, in back of the trailer is 65 gallons a minute. No, there's all kinds of water. You can run that day and night.
That's 100 gallons a minute across the road,
And it's 65 in back.
And that's anecdotal, it hasn't been tested at that. My understanding that is what everyone has been
Yeah.
operating on, is that it's been a lot of water.
Well, all you gotta do is go look at the swimming pool. It ain't 3 gallons a minute. Town swimming pool over there. That's not 3 gallons a minute. There's a lot of water in that hole.
Seems like it came up to the rain.
There's a lot of stagnant stuff though, it's not like what's running there.
Yeah, but it isn't running off either though. It's staying consistent. So it's holding its own. And it is stagnant. It's gonna be stagnant because it's not moving anywhere. But
It's in the hole towards the garage, yeah, that's stagnant, or that's not any amount of your spring, I don't think. What your spring is going down the ditch and then it does go back into the gravel area.
yeah. I can tell you that it changed the level of it when they dug the hole on the other side.
So the sand separator sounded like a solution the other day with Chevalier if it was to affect, so what do you think's the solution?
I don't know what the solution is because we haven't moved forward on what we're doing yet. And when that's gonna be the factor. When we move ahead, what's gonna happen?
So what was the recommendation? So if we get 40 gallons a minute,
40 feet down.
or maybe 40 feet,
40 feet.
They said they'd put that sand separator as low as they possibly could, but they're not sure as to how that low that is until they try it. They said what there is also in there is a 5-inch casing inside of this well, and Tim can verify that. So he says he's sure that on the end of that, there's a screen. So probably gravel isn't coming up into that hole and getting to your pump and ruining your pump. He said it's just the particles that are floating around in the water finally collects enough of them that can't suck the water, so it drains, it,
See, when Bill Patty owned,
cavitates and ruins the pump.
when Bill Patty, owned the store, there was spring tiles there where the well was down inside there. And what happened is, that was 6 feet down, so the water was coming out the well cap, and it was sucking it back in as you used the water. And so he didn't like that because it's contamination, so he had this, other part of this well, that Chevalier welded on top of it, to stick it out of the ground so nothing could get into it. And that, I don't know what year that was done, but it was when Bill had the store.
Now, how often have you had to change the pump
2 times, I think.
since you guys have been there?
2 times.
I see.
Now, and I'm talking the one across the street, let's,
That's on the well on the town property.
tell, yeah,
That was like in 2018, I think, the last time that was changed. Cause I know Darren and Tina
Change it.
changed it. I'm not sure if they changed it, and that was, it's lasted for quite a while.
and then the one that's the pump by the trailer
That one,
has been changed when, so to speak.
3 years ago?
I'd have to look that up, I don't remember when he changed that one.
I think about 3 years ago.
So it's something that's, I mean, they're not, 50 years old, I mean,
No, they don't.
they're current.
They're within, that one across the road, the town property one is probably 5 years old, maybe. I think it was just before we changed the one at the trailer. And that one's been about 3.
Did Chevalier's say, can they put one of these sand separator pumps in 5-inch?
Yep.
They can?
I asked him about setting the drill rig up and taking some of that sand down, see if we could get it deeper. And he said,
You guys
"It's not
want to go
gonna-
deep, deep, deep,
Yeah.
deep.
It's not an option because of the wires. I said, well, if you had the wires sleeved, and he said, yeah, still wouldn't feel comfortable. He said, the only way to feel comfortable is taking it down. So I said, well, it's a local power company, we might be able to get that to happen. But then when he put the pitless back on, he said, I can tell that there's another sleeve, a 5-inch inside there. So he said, we're probably not gonna be able to put a drill rig over that and drill down in there and take that sand
And
out.
that could be a factor in why the water doesn't come in fast enough, at a higher level, because the pump is right here.
So I asked him about if he could somehow vacuum it out of there, like they do in the catch basins in the building and stuff. He said nothing that they have. He said they've tried something similar with an inch pipe, but it really wasn't successful. But there may be something out there. So I
But
guess
the,
you're at the mercy of how deep you can put that sand separator, whether it's gonna be 40 feet or 60 feet, or how deep you're gonna be able to get it before you hit gravel.
but at least,
Hit the
at
bottom.
least the 40 feet. Because he was able to get his
Yeah,
pump,
exactly.
test pump at 40, okay.
Right. And the deeper you go, the more gallons per minute you're gonna get, because it's not like one in a
Right.
ledge where it's continuous. Just the deeper in the gravel you are, the more water is available.
And that's what you were saying, Tim, from needing the pressure above in order to,
Static level, keep the water over the pump, just like it's all about, so that it doesn't pull air.
So does
Okay.
that sound like a solution, like,
Well,
if we move forward and it drains it down,
It-
and then we put the sand separator
I
down?
have no problem as long as you don't run out of water,
Right,
on anything. I just can't get out of water.
yeah.
And so that's the factor. That's the only thing I'm concerned about, is not running out of water, and if this works. If it cures the problem and don't burn pumps up, and then there's the, maintenance on it. We'd have to look into that. I don't really know what all that's about, but how long and how often it has to be pulled up and cleaned. Rolled out or something.
Any experience with that, Michael? No?
Nope, not those.
If we were to do something with this, the town well, and the trailer well was to go bad, is there a way to hitch the water altogether so this well would feed the trailer too?
Well,
Especially if they're in the same.
Well,
lane?
yeah, and no, because if they're ever sold separately, somebody's pumping water to everything. And it's not really, you wanna get putting every building on one well, you know? Cause that just, it's like having one septic for 10 houses, you got other problems come up and arise.
Sure.
So,
Where's the septic for the store? Is that behind?
front lawn.
Oh, front lawn, okay.
Yeah. It's crowded there, there's not much room, so everything's kind of like, pretty tight.
The house trailers share that same
No,
sort of different one.
yeah,
Where's that one?
that one's in front of the trailer.
Front of the trailer.
It's
okay.
it's right on the bank, right where the trailer is, where the cement pad is, that's right there.
Okay.
Oh, just in front, yeah.
It's a whole different design. You
Yeah, I don't
see
think I
this
even
in-
noticed it.
But you won't be able to tell, it just comes out like this and just rounds down, and it's right, it looked like half culverts is what they put into that one.
Presby system probably.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
Glen Harder?
Yeah.
Glen Harder, yeah, you'd like those.
Is that, now, is that old, is that an old system?
Brand new, well, not brand new, the trailer's been there
2007.
2007.
Okay.
Your leach field right there, too.
How far away is that? I mean, that's it close, right?
It's,
It's supposed to be 200 downhill.
yes, I don't know what it is, but it was grandfathered in because it was there before.
Gotcha.
Okay. So we'll,
Well, I know later in the meeting we had to talk contract with Millbrook, and next steps with them. So I can join you for contract talk later.
okay,
Is there anything else that you need from Tim and Marguerite as far as, I know that it's time to think and think about what your next steps are.
I think we're good for now. All right, well, thank you guys for
Yep,
coming in.
thank you.
Yeah, thank
Yep.
I do have.
Stop it at park,
What's that?
stop it at park,
Yeah.
spend some of that moldy money.
I see they were, rocking and rolling there.
I do have some housekeeping things, two things, in order to get reimbursement, well, because Billy Joe's gonna pay
I did
things.
have, I printed the Stantec bill and I have Millbrooks. Millbrooks is in here, Stantec's came a little bit late, so
Okay,
they're just gonna sign the invoice itself for today. $19,020, 86 cents.
yeah, so we have two invoices came in, that $19,020.86, that's for construction inspection services out of a total of $77,444 is your contract. And Millbrook was really good, not Millbrook, Stantec was really good about giving us some graphics of, you know, we're spending a little bit more early in this project, because of the issues going on, but they seem to have a good handle on, you know, getting back on track, and they're really being conscious of budget when they need to be, you know, making sure that they don't have someone at site when they don't need to be. So I've been really happy with their communication and their being mindful of the budget. It's really nice. And then the other invoice that came in is the first pay rec for Millbrook, and how this works. And this is for $68,567.18. What happens is Stantec goes through in great detail to verify all the quantities. Once they feel like they have all the documentation, they send this letter signing off on it. I've reviewed and, approved their work, and would just be looking for you to kind of sign off, saying that you're good with moving forward. So that's there.
Which is in the packet. Or is this
That's
a
for me to pay a bill, this is for her to get us reimbursement,
Oh, okay.
right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and then that's the final piece is, so you're paying out these two big
So
invoices,
those two are represented
19,086.
here. Okay.
And so you have $87,588.04 that you've been paying out and are just about to, and so here's the reimbursement request.
Where was I in this one?
Right, Town of Enosburgh, signature title date.
Are we all supposed to sign this one?
Yes,
Yeah.
please, I didn't have the cover sheet for it.
And then this cover sheet is the one I'm having up here typically Larry would sign it, but Pierre's gonna sign, just saying, yes, we're seeking reimbursement for these expenses. So Pierre, this is the V-Trans cover letter that will go in with the reimbursement request.
You already got my name on here?
Well, I actually brought two versions, I bought one in case Larry came, and one.
She's prepared, always prepared.
And I think that's like kind of the business I have. I was gonna go out and join another meeting, but I know later on if you go into, discussions about contracts and if you wanna bring me back in, I'll just be out
Yeah, hopefully
doing a meeting
at
outside.
7:30, hopefully that's not.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you mind if I leave this chair?
No, that's
if
fine.
someone comes
Yeah.
up?
Michael can warm it up after.
Yeah. I don't sit down much.
Alright, so next on the agenda is Michael Jarvis. It's, okay, it's on that.
So this is actually for Marcel's property, so if Marcel wants to come up, I can explain
Just grab a
everything.
chair,
briefly.
Marcel.
Yeah,
Sit here,
bring a
I can
chair.
it. So I don't remember exactly what I sent to you, Billy Joe, that you sent out, and I've got some other things here too, just to.
I think I only had sent it to Joey.
Okay.
So with this is
So what everyone-
Marcel Parent,
Yeah.
and he's got a project.
Yeah, so Marcel's got a project, technically in Bakersfield. Town line is right here, based off the monuments from the states, you know, us, and it does match up with fence lines and stuff. So the town line is right at the edge of County Road, which in Enosburgh is a legal trail. In Bakersfield, it's class 4. Doesn't really make much difference either way. The towns aren't responsible for maintenance of it.
Right.
And we're not asking for any maintenance by the towns. All we're asking for is V-Trans has requested for us to get the towns to sign on with our application as co-applicants to allow us to upgrade the access within their right-of-way to A76 standards.
Now, when you're saying they're right away, who, are you talking?
The state.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you'll just be fixing it up to that standard into the edge of their right of way and then.
Correct, so we gotta do A76 and pave the first section off 108 because it's considered a multifamily and they require everybody to go the 876 if that's what you're coming off there right away with. And because this isn't considered a town maintained road at this time, they're making us upgrade to what they would currently make somebody upgrade for a new access. Does that
Okay.
make sense?
Yeah.
So even if he upgrades, you're not gonna come back and ask us to take over the road.
He's doing the job, I'm
Right.
just sitting in back.
So-
We've been going to this too long.
At this point, we're not asking the town to take anything over. If in the future the towns, Bakersfield and Enosburgh, decide they want to start taking stuff over, great. But we're gonna write it into, there's gonna be a homeowners association. We're gonna write into that the maintenance of the portion that is within the public trail. That it will be maintained by them, but it can't be blocked to the public.
I probably should start, I don't know.
Yeah.
If anybody got this story to begin with. The story is, I have land in Bakersfield, and we're subdividing this land, and come to find out, they don't want, which we knew this right along, they don't want one house, one driveway, another house, a driveway, which is understandable. Well,
That's right.
now we come out with the conclusion that we're gonna have a driveway and go around and have a, is that your own?
Cul-de-sac.
And we're not even in the same town now. We're on the county road, which is in Enosburgh. So this is what I'm trying to inform you about, because we're not going into Enosburgh and doing nothing besides this little driveway that's probably, I don't know how far we're going, 50 feet?
and crossing that section of your private trail, or not private, public trail. Bakersfield will require us to, if this is not up to the standards what they have for private drives, we may have to do some maintenance to upgrade the road in that section as well. Because we have to make sure that everything meets the fire trucks and,
So basically, they're gonna be off 108 then,
correct,
you're gonna be able to see them from 108?
yeah. Yeah, so
Oh,
the
I see
idea-
some road here,
Yeah, the idea is to have these 3 houses right here, we're doing it as a PUD, keep the 3 houses right here, and then 1 house with the remaining 36 acres. And so that way it stays as much ag land as possible.
How's this one gonna give me access to?
We're gonna offset, where they currently go in for the farm fields.
Oh,
We're,
yeah?
we're upgrading that so it can be
Yeah.
for farm and 1 home.
So why does the state need the towns to be, if he is the applicant to begin with?
Because it's not owned by him, it's owned by the towns, both have.
But it
So
doesn't
we've gotta
mean we're
get-
monetarily responsible.
Correct, correct. You guys are just signing on saying you're allowing us, because it's within your right of way and their right of way. They tend to do this where they like, when we have adjoining properties, they like us to try to get adjoining properties to sign on too. And that's basically where we're at right now, is because this is in Enosburgh, you guys own this right away, they want us to have you as a co-applicant.
I think that's, yeah, because it's still a legal trail, it's still a legal public right away.
Right.
That's why they can't deed it, so technically you're still in control of
Right.
the
Yep.
select board, so you want your blessing, but.
Can you find, I mean, based on the information that you have now, you're comfortable with everything that's being said?
Yeah, I mean,
I mean-
as long as, yeah.
And I'm not actually asking you guys to sign this tonight, because I have multiple steps I gotta go through. I gotta go through you guys, I've also gotta go through the Bakersfield select board,
Right, that's what my next question,
Yeah.
what their take is on it.
and then I've gotta go
They
back
sent us
to,
here.
right.
Oh, really?
Well, it's not,
Well, no, we haven't
That's
gone
not,
to,
that
we
part's not
haven't,
theirs. yeah.
we haven't gone to the
Right.
select board yet. We've gone to the
Zoning.
zoning right now.
Yeah.
Zoning is, we're through, sketch plan and preliminary, and we're ready to go for final, but we gotta get the road nailed down for final.
Okay.
How many houses are you planning? I'm sorry, I must have blacked out.
there's 3 on that
Access.
particular access,
Oh.
and then 1, the other
It's all-
Okay.
is across from the farm. And that's enough. A little humor is, I was told that belonged to the Halls. And I called him and said, "Did the Halls own any road?" He says, "Not hardly."
Well, no, they own the land underneath the right of way, but it's still a public right of way, because the trail, if the town discontinued the road completely, then it would have gone back to Halls. But right now, it's still a public access to this monument and straight across that
The
road.
town line's on the south side of the
That's
trail,
what the
right?
problem is.
Just
It
how
for a
much-
section, for a short section, and then the trail comes away from the town line almost instantly. So it's right at that.
Yeah, cause what's on ours is like .06,
Mhm.
it's like,
Yeah.
60 feet.
Yeah, I have that. Guess I don't have that one yet.
So you need us to sign off on that so you can go back
When
to
we
Bakersfield?
get this ready,
Okay.
I won't ask you guys to sign it tonight because I'm not actually showing you what I'm presenting to V-Trans, but I wanted to make sure there's not a hiccup at the first part before I move through everything.
Okay, so you're gonna need a motion from us, or something signed, because there's nothing more discouraging, and that is that, you know, we say yes,
Right,
and then,
they say,
and then they take it over there and they say, well, do you have documentation on it? And you say, well, no, I didn't get anything,
well, this is the
so
actual
would that,
application we'll be submitting, but I have not filled out anything on there. I don't know, I don't wanna ask you guys to sign a blank document.
Well, we could
If we
make a
make-
motion and I could send you the minutes if that
Yeah.
would help.
Yeah.
That would be perfect.
and then that way,
Yeah,
you're
wanna
able,
find out what Bakersfield would think, cause that could change what, you know, should do with, once you know what they're planning.
So you want him to make the motion that you're okay with it as long as the discussion and decision from Bakersfield comes back to,
Yeah.
to an amicable agreement?
Is that satisfy your?
Yeah, I mean, basically a motion that you would be in support of signing on and allowing us to use the section through Enosburgh. Is
Okay,
what we'd be
and,
looking for.
and we'll so-called, how are we gonna reference this?
County road.
County Road,
It's Legal Trail 9, I believe.
Legal Trail 9.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll move to, give them the right for improvements on Legal Trail 9 for the,
County Road too. Okay.
development.
I'll second that.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded that, there's an approval on County Road, Legal Trail 9,
Pending Bakersfield.
abutting Bakersfield, and, waiting for their approval. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Does that work for you?
That works for me.
Another question I got, Michael, like
Yes.
beyond the beyond the states right away, what, the zoning,
So zoning's gonna ask
control
us,
that? What type of standard?
improvements.
Yeah,
So everything is going to be brought up to, be required to be brought up to, private road standards. So, which is the same as class 3 road standards, basically. I believe in Enosburgh, I know in Bakersfield, but I'll review that and we will have to get you final language on that, just like we'll,
yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
sure, Jesse, you can help out there, was there anything actually defined? I know myself and Angie talked about it at one time, as some language as what residential, private driveway, single home versus a shared driveway versus once you get 3 or more, maybe it's a private road.
Right, I
And I
know
don't
there
know
were
if
some
anything-
issues that came up with that previous and some other issues there weren't adequate driveways there, and that's one of the things, like with the bylaw update, was cleaning some of that language up. I believe it references the standards, A76 standards, or B7, one of the, I can't remember, yeah.
B71 is just the entrance standards.
It's entrance, yeah.
So A76 would be road standards, which is recommended road width, sub-base.
Right.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I mean, so we're responsible for the culvert? We're gonna have
No.
to change that? No? Okay.
You're not,
That'd be working with
Responsible for
V-Trans.
any-
Okay, so,
Yeah.
okay, no, I'm just,
you know.
That recommendation would come from V-Trans, like if it's off the town highway.
No, there is a culvert
There's a
there.
cover goes across the main road, it goes over the Hollis.
I don't know, there may be.
But V-Trans will specify, because we'll have to send them a plan. So everything within the 108 will be V-Trans governed. They just want you to sign off with your blessing that you can.
If there's any water there at all, I'm sure they're gonna want like an 18-inch, 40 feet long, at least probably, maybe 50. Cause
Yeah.
you gotta maintain that 30-foot radius, so you
Right.
need a 50-foot or more.
Yeah. It doesn't say that the recommended culvert on here. I think they looked at the drainage area before they say that. But yeah, like you said, it's a minimum. I think it's 35-foot minimum
Probably.
at the 108, and then tapers off with the 35-foot radius. Yeah, 30-foot radius
I know you specified 40 feet wide, I know that's their,
maximum.
yeah.
Yeah.
Minimum in the state right away is that 40 foot
Right.
and the 30-foot radius. So another thing would be a sign too, I'm sure the houses in Bakersfield, but there's gonna have to be a sign at the end of the road. So that would be the applicant's responsibility, private road, this would be considered a private road, right?
Well, the trail's still will be the trail,
Yeah,
but at the end where it exits the public road onto there, there'll have to be a separate private road name. So I'm not sure how the 911 works on that. That'll be a question.
so we'll have to have ours, we'll have to have our sign and their, and Marcel's sign?
Well, you already have a sign for the legal trail, correct? No, nothing.
There's a line sign right there, which obviously is just
Mm-hmm.
south of that, but, no, there's no road name at all there.
Gotcha.
So we may have to have one.
Yeah, I think that's on them.
That's on there,
That's
alright,
the-
but
that's the
just
precedent.
so that you guys know that,
Right, for the 911.
at least we, yeah.
I guess
'cause-
that is confusing because it's gonna be legal trail and then it's gonna be private road.
Yeah.
That's what they call it, 911.
Okay, cool, thank you guys.
Alright, thank you guys.
Thank you. See ya.
10 more
Right.
steps and we'll be there.
So is
But
it
I think
gonna-
we would need to talk to Tyler from 911 to see how he wants to do that.
Right.
May
It's a little
have,
weird.
may give you his contact information so that you can discuss.
Seems like the logical thing would be to have the private road sign at the state highway
Yeah.
on ours,
Oh, yeah.
and then maybe a second where they go off, I don't know.
I think it's good to have the private road sign so then people just aren't taking, you know, they should, you don't want people just going on it for board.
Well, they can.
Right, but you try to discourage it.
Yeah.
Alright, so next on the agenda, we've got, Garrett, Wolski, and he's our ambulance director. And, good evening.
You just jinxed us, thank you.
I know I did. I know the list looks long, it's actually not that bad, most of it's pretty quick, minus the bottom part. I just want to start by giving you guys some service updates. Since we last spoke, we approved the application of 3 new employees. They've finished their orientation and they've done very well. They are on the schedule, on the roster, and they're picking up shifts, which I'm happy to see. I do have a few members whom I haven't heard from since I started here, so I am going to send out an email with the board's approval to just address if they still want to be involved with the Enosburgh ambulance service, or if they've had enough and they don't want to be a part of the service anymore.
Did you have a list of those people?
I can get a list for next meeting if you guys want. It was Layla, Nikki Warren, and there's one other. Third one's one. Oh, Alex, but he already sent me his resignation. So.
Okay.
He did send me his resignation
So
last week.
you contact them by letter or email?
Email. Yeah, I'll send him an email. With the board's approval if you guys are okay with it. Just to figure out their standpoint. Schedule-wise, our schedule is looking really good right now. We have all shifts filled through the summer, which has been great. We're part of multiple events. So this summer, we're part of 7 different events. I've opened it up to crews if they're interested. It's time for them to be part of the service, so they can be a part of it. We've had June Dairy Days. There was a funeral event that we were a part of. During the summer, Franklin Recreation has 2 or 3 events going on that we're going to be a part of. So I'm really being involved in the community in that aspect.
And then have you reached out to, or have you, just out of curiosity, has Bakersfield reached out to you and just,
They have not.
okay, and how about Berkshire?
Berkshire is not either.
Montgomery?
Montgomery has. Yeah, Montgomery has. And Franklin has.
Okay,
But
When you say
Berkshire-
reach out for what?
just
Yes.
events, and, you know,
I think
mean,
Bakersfield has a 4th of July sometime, I'm not sure what Berkshire does.
So yeah, so Montgomery, we're going to the Montgomery 4th of July parade.
Yeah.
That one we're going to be involved with. Tomorrow, I'm actually going to reach out to Bakersfield and see if they're doing fireworks. I haven't heard that they haven't posted anything on their website, but usually they do.
do, yeah.
Yeah, they're one of them. I know Franklin's not doing them this year. They're doing a pontoon boat race and a race around the lake. So we're going to have an ambulance staff for those events. The Montgomery will be a part of their 4th of July parade, and then Bakersfield, I'll see if they're going to do fireworks this year or not.
Okay,
As far as I'm aware, Enosburgh is not doing fireworks this year for that parade.
never have.
Never have.
Oh, party gophers.
Fair enough, they're expensive. Vehicles, the 22 just came back from maintenance. We actually worked with New Car down in St. Albans. They're the new owners of Bocan. They treated us really well. They fixed the oil leak that was ongoing. That was under warranty, so that was covered. They took care of a bunch of routine maintenance stuff. They seem to treat us really well. So
Is that the same vehicle that went down to Heritage? Okay,
Yeah, it was the 17th.
17 went to Heritage.
Heritage Ones, okay,
Yeah.
so this is 13.
They were very timely about it. They initially told me it was gonna take a week, we had it back in the next day. They were awesome about that. Very appreciative.
Shout out
Yes,
to them.
yes, very much closer. So that went well. Service license renewal, this is something I'm working on actively right now. It's that time of year. Basically, the state is now using a new website where we do our license renewals. It's lights, so I'm just inputting everything on that right now. And I hope to have that done before the end of this month. They are coming around and doing pop-up checks on ambulances. They did reach out to me and asked me if we had crews here at the station during the day. I told them yes, so I'm expecting them in the next week or so. We're good to go on it. We've all been through the ambulances, been through the state's checklist, and we've covered everything on it, so we should be good to go on it. Background checks, just to give you guys an update, I know we've talked about this in the past. We are all set up with the Adult and Child Protective Services background checks and also the Vermont Crime Center background checks. There is an option I do want to bring up to you guys. What some services do is they actually conduct their background checks through local police departments. That's something, if you're interested, it's not a decision we have to make tonight. But going forward with new employees and doing biannual checks of current employees, they would be able to look into Vermont incidents, national incidents, sex offender, sex registry, child and adult abuse. They would be able to conduct all that. There is a fee associated with this stuff. The Vermont crime incident is free, but doing the adult and child abuse, there is a fee with that with every application. So
You know what the fee is?
that one usually is $30 per application.
I think that would be worth making sure that we have all the checks that we need to. Because that's something we don't get with the free.
And with that service being provided, is that through the state police or is that through our local sheriff's department?
Typically, it's done through local sheriffs.
We may be able to,
Doesn't have to be
the different county,
Okay,
yeah.
okay,
Doesn't have to be one specific.
right,
Most of them I'm willing to work with.
yep,
Whomever. But just an option.
Okay.
So yeah, if you're okay with it, I'll at least get a quote from them
Mhm.
as to how much they would charge per application. I am looking at the end of this year that all employees will be background checked, and that's going to be a biannual thing that's going to start to occur. I'll have a policy on it to bring to you guys to address that, but that is something that the state is a big proponent on right now.
So that means that we would have to go back and do our employee handbook as to
To add that.
Yes.
add that.
He could
as-
come up with the verbiage and we could just put in.
Yep.
Yep.
So, it's a mandatory thing. They don't get a choice to opt out, correct? And it will be worded as such.
Yes.
Correct.
And then we're going to have to come up to what do we do as unable to continue working here or unable to work here as a new applicant. So we'll have to work on the
Yep.
verbiage of that.
Okay,
But that is something that the state is requiring. New students, that's a big proponent right now. If we have a member of the community that wants to get their EMS license and affiliate with us, we have to perform their background check. The state is no longer doing that for them. So that's the big thing. We don't have any new students looking to take a class right now, but in the future, as of June 1st, we have to start doing that.
and I'm just kind of throwing this out, but say Jesse's a new student.
Yep.
And he wants to partake with us. First thing that comes to mind to me, and that is that my question to Jesse would be, are you willing to have a background check? Are you willing to pay for it? That, and the only reason I'm asking that on my end, and that is that if I'm gonna put this expense, and I find something that was criminally involved, then why should I have to take the hit for it when you can, that individual can go and say, you know what, maybe I made a,
Mhm.
Maybe we could avoid that, and if anybody comes to him wanting to be a student, he could give them a document that states, these are the things that we require,
Mhm.
and that would be one of them, and then they would be like, oh, I'm not gonna pass.
right, you know, and, you know, and put on there, you know, at your expense, cause I just look at it
Or-
as,
or do-
you're gonna have
Or
to
you
have,
can be refunded after
Refund it
6
if you
months.
pass, we'll refund
Yeah.
it.
right, but we need to have some skin in the game. I mean,
Right.
I'm just throwing it out.
Right, I don't mind
It's also,
refunding them, but
$30
I
is a
think
cost.
that
I was
if
just
you
gonna say,
tell them up
it's
front, they're gonna know
$30
whether
is
they
peace
have
of
something on
mind
their
for an
record.
employee that
Well-
you know, like, you know what I mean?
It's kind
Like,
of the cost of doing business,
Right,
really,
right.
too, kinda, you know, I mean, you got money into everything.
you know, like you said,
And
when
really
you find out
$30
you
if it
paid the
saves you a
$30 and you're
lawsuit.
like,
Right.
you know, I don't, you know what I mean? And my background lights up like a Christmas tree. And you're like, well, phew, okay, we avoided a, you know, a potential
For
mess
$30.
there for $30.
Yeah.
For peace of mind.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty reasonable.
Okay,
If it was $300.
Right, right, yeah.
Do you wanna do the same for current employees?
I'm not in favor of making anybody pay for their background check,
Not really.
because like you said, it's cost
No,
of
but
business.
then- but then
But I
you-
think you need to tell
But it's
them
something we're making mandatory.
that
Right.
you're going, that
so to
if
give
you wanna
them,
quit, quit now.
yeah, it's one of those of,
I'm, not that I want anybody to quit,
I
but I
think-
think that if they wanna bow out,
Right. And the thing that I'm looking to incorporate, so it's not something required by the state, but if we do decide to go with a police service to do this, they would be able to look into driving record. And that's a big thing that I don't have access to, there's not a service I can sign up with to look into that. The only way I would find out about a poor driving record,
Sure.
one, if they lost their license, two, if they got a DUI felony, and then it becomes a legal case in that retrospect. But if they have multiple points on their license, multiple violations, there's no way for me to really know that.
That's good.
okay,
I've always wondered why we haven't done this.
well, I had asked a long time ago when I had first started, because the highway department gets tested, all their drivers get tested randomly,
Mhm.
and I thought ambulance and fire should be tested too, and I did not have one person, not from our department, but I called our insurance company and the drug test people, not one person thought that was a good idea.
Really?
I guess they didn't think it was a
Well, they're
thing.
driving vehicles and
Right.
tending
Yeah.
to
So this would be
People-
background checks for all employees.
everybody.
Yep.
It's gonna become a biannual thing for current employees, and then every new applicant is going to go through a background check.
Yep.
It just
Okay.
saves us and covers us in that aspect. It used to be a free service that the state did for us, they don't do it anymore, it's on us now.
So, but the $30 covers the everything.
that's only for the,
You're gonna look
For the
into
two
it.
things, yeah,
Oh.
I'll get an official quote and present it to you guys
Oh,
with how
okay.
much exactly everything will be. I know the $30 is for the adult and child's
Yeah.
abuse registry. The VCIC, that one's free, the NCIC's free. But if we wanna do all the checks, we'll have to go through a PD service, to figure those out. I'll get a quote and I'll present it to you guys, and I'll plan for that for next meeting.
and then the other thing is that, I don't know if it would be more so on your end, PJ, but it used to be that you could call, Department of Motor Vehicle to find out the information on Joey Clark.
I think it'd be-
Well, I don't think they'll give you that, will they?
No.
I don't know, it used to be way back when I was managing. It was, I could call up Department of Motor Vehicle and ask
Did you have truck
information.
drivers though?
Yeah,
So you were a business,
yeah,
well, I guess we kinda.
I mean, we're a business.
But you said, what part you said, the way back?
The way back. The way
Oh.
back. The way back and the rollback.
Alright, maybe that's not available anymore. It used to be.
I think that if he has a system that's coming into place or is in place, that's the
Yeah.
best one that we're going to get.
Okay.
It's going to be full for everybody, and it's not just gonna be
Yeah.
me
Right.
calling up somebody random.
Right.
Okay. well,
And it's in writing. It's not
Yep.
somebody over the phone telling me
Right.
that somebody had a
I
DUI.
think that's a great idea.
Okay. Alright, I will look into that and I'll present that to you guys next meeting. Alright. The next one, so new ambulance. On the back, you guys will see, this is something I've been looking into. So, right now to purchase a new ambulance, it's a 2 to 3 year wait period before the new ambulance arrives. Right now, we're averaging 30,000 miles per ambulance per year. The Braun 17 has a little over 130,000 miles, so 2 to 3 years from now, that truck's gonna have a little over 200,000 miles on it. The reason I'm bringing this forward now is because of this long wait period. And this is something, we don't have to make a decision tonight on any of this, but this is just something that I want to address with you guys and start looking into.
We had hoped to do a remount on the last one, but time was not on our side. So
Right.
it's good to think of it ahead.
Yes.
Yep.
So I've looked into both options, both doing a remount and to the purchase of a new module with a chassis. From what I've been told so far, remounting the Braun 17 would save us between $100,000 to $125,000.
Like that.
So, which is good. Bronze are known for being able to be remounted, which is a good thing. The remount consists of a lifetime warranty with it. There is a 15% leeway on this because of the cost of vehicles right now.
When you say that, so it could be up 15% from this quote?
Correct, exactly, yep. It's basically dependent on how much a new chassis would cost. This was quoted for an F450 diesel. I'm going to have them re-quote for an F350 instead. And then there's also the option, we can also look into a gas job versus a diesel. A lot of services are switching to gas right now, interestingly, just because the motors have been found to be just as good, power-wise. And we don't idle as much as other services do. If we consistently idle these motors for long periods of time, then I would shy away from doing the gas. But because we don't idle as much as other services do, it is an option that we can look
Do you
into.
think 350 will handle that block and everything?
Yeah, that's what ours are right now.
Oh, they are?
Yeah,
Okay.
they're all
Oh,
350s.
that's okay.
This does also incorporate the addition of a liquid suspension. If we decide to not use the liquid suspension, that would decrease our cost. From what we're quoted here, there are caveats to using liquid suspension versus not. That's an addition that the Braun service would add. It's not something that comes standard when you purchase a chassis. The benefits to the liquid suspension, it's a more comfortable ride for the patient in the back. So it's just something I looked into. We do have bumpy back roads here.
Yeah, we've had some
Have we got-
comments that it's kind of a rough ride in any of them.
Have we got any of the, with the other, services? Do any of them have a liquid suspension? Ampere?
50/50. Ampere does not.
No, how about, Mrs. Score?
Their new one they just purchased did. They added liquid suspension. Actually, the one they bought from us that they sent to get mounted, they added liquid suspension to that.
Oh, no kidding?
Yep. I know the other service I used to work for, Grand Isle Rescue, all of their ambulances, they added liquid suspension. There is a noticeable difference to it when you're riding in the back. It actually is kind of a self-leveling system, so the chassis can be leaning slightly one way, and the box in the back will actually level out.
That's cool.
Huh,
Kind of a cool
I'll
idea.
check it out.
Yeah. Yeah, you can do your research on it and look into it. So that's basically where I'm at with that. If the board is interested in looking at this, I can push further and get an official quote, if it's something you're interested in.
So will these chassis, or do they have to be a Ford, or will the other
Does not have to
Chevy
be a
or
Ford.
Dodge, or any of them, the remounts fit on any of them?
Yep. Doesn't have to be a Ford. I know in Missisquoi they have a Dodge, Grand Isle have a Dodge. Some services, I think Barry uses Chevys. Stowe just bought a Chevy.
Would you want them to continue and get a quote for the different?
Would you look?
I don't know, I'm just interested, just curious. I
If
don't
quotes
know.
are free.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
Right, just the salesman might leave it alone.
Oh, I know that salesman, he's a pest.
Yes.
Have them really do it.
Sure.
Might as well start the ball.
I don't know.
If it's 3
Well,
years.
It doesn't hurt to get quotes.
Right.
Which was about the time that we decided before, it was about 3 years, so things aren't moving up.
I'm looking at our ambulances, they're on about an 8-year rotation right now. So we just got our 22, I want that to last us at least until 2030. Our 2017, if it's a 2 to 3 year wait, that will be right at that 8-year mark. I'm waiting for it. And then we can sell the chassis, there won't be anything in the back, but technically it'll be easier to sell. No module in the back.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Is there a benefit from gas to diesel really now? I mean, if the gas is cheaper, there's,
Cheaper to maintain.
Yeah.
We always used to run gas 550s down at Bates, and I mean, I don't know what you get on diesel, what do you get for mileage? On an F550, we used to get 7 to 8 miles to the gallon on gas, but that could have been, I mean, we had young guys who, they just slammed it to the floor. So, it was either all the way.
Josh said he could get 9, the other guy gets 6.
Yeah, right,
Told me
exactly,
one
yeah,
day.
so, I
Exactly.
mean,
Yeah.
We're averaging about 9 right now,
yeah.
9 miles to the gallon.
And I will say, when I talked to the boys last time, they were considering Dodge for their next
Oh, yeah.
Diesel or gas?
gas.
Gas.
They've been having some transmission issues with their newest one that they were literally locked up on and can't ship out of it now. It's been to Hazy's place since they've had it,
Yeah.
for extended period of time, so.
So I can get, if you guys want, I can get quotes for both gas and diesel. To see what our options are.
Sure.
And I can do Chevy, Dodge, and Ford. And see what they come up with. Is there any particular dealership you guys normally like to work with?
We've only been
I think Barrett's is the one we've had.
there, so, because of Ford.
Yeah.
Any dealer can get any
They're all about the same
pretty much
price.
try Champlain Chevrolet, they're right here.
give them a shot.
I
It's a
can call
service-
Brian if you want.
Yeah,
service
yeah,
from
might as
Hazy.
well.
I can call Brian, I can text
I
him
was gonna
right
say,
now.
Chevy's got a they got that 4,500, 5,500 range now too, don't they? Yep. But you guys were thinking 35 anyway.
We can do
Yeah.
45. We were
Yeah.
quoted for the
Yeah.
4500 series. We can do both.
I know at some point your Champlain Chevy kind of runs out and you have to deal with somebody in Burlington. I think it's the bigger,
I think once they get past the 3,500.
yeah.
Yeah.
I know they do 3,500
Yeah.
for sure.
Well, make it simple. Stick with Chevy and Barrett's and go and start off with the 3,500, and then, otherwise it's gonna get complicated by 450 and 550, and then
Right.
it's like
Yeah. Keep it simple.
start with those at least.
And if we do decide to go with a gas job, then I gotta look and see if there's a way that Bluens can put the card so we can only put one type of fuel in each one. Because that is my only biggest concern.
I don't think that works. I think you have to know which one.
Yeah, you
Say
do.
I hope. If that is the case, that truck is gonna be labeled very well.
Big sticker.
Multiple of them.
Yeah.
If you're worried about it, maybe we should just go diesel. Saving some money in the long run.
Amcare, they just purchased a gas job, and apparently there is a way that they can make it so their card will only do gas.
Oh. Well,
The
maybe.
technology is there, whether
Yeah.
Bluens.
Add Bluens.
Yeah, maybe it'll be like, no, you can't use 3 and 4,
Right.
or you can only use 3 and 4.
Yeah.
They might be able to program it.
Yeah, they might.
But then the thing is that if you're on the road and you stop somewheres,
Well, you got a different
so to
card for
speak.
that anyway.
right? But
Right,
But,
you
but
have to-
you
but
gotta
still,
know what you're driving.
Right, yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
When you
Yeah.
That's
open the
my only
gas
worry.
thing, there's a little thing that jumps out.
Exactly. It's gonna be on the card and everything. So I will get quotes on that.
Cool.
Aside from that, there was one particular item I wanted to bring up with you guys, if you wanna go into executive session about it. Just to talk about it, it's up to you guys, it's about one.
Well, we're going into executive session
Next.
next anyway.
Yep. All right.
I've
So.
got something that probably needs to be out of the executive.
You do? Oh. Okay.
So we can skip around then, we'll do that and go back to you.
Ready for this then?
Yeah.
Alright, so the box culvert structures grant that we got on the Tyler Branch Road. We've been working with Tyler Billingsley as the engineer that we hired. Put it out to bid, we had bid opening last Thursday, the 15th. And there was 3 bidders, pass that around. if you just
I
wanna
think
see
I
it.
have that. Joe.
Oh, you have all that there?
I have the contract and I have the bids, which is this one that's going in a different direction.
Did you get Tyler's
His review of it.
recommendation letter?
Yes, on top of it.
Okay, so there should be those 3 things, the 3 bids. There's 4 potential contractors that were invited. It was St. Ange,
This is his
EW
letter that he's
Tetro,
talking about.
Goodhue, and Wright's Excavating. 3 showed up for the mandatory pre-bid meeting. St. Albans, GWJ, True and Goodview, I think I explained that at the last meeting. And those three all sent bids in, so you should have those in front of you. Right,
Yep. The one you just sent down the table is what.
All three bids are in there?
Tyler's-
Because it's already been opened up and he's reviewed them, so he's
Yeah,
condensed.
This is Tyler's summary page right on the front, so all you gotta do is look down at the bottom graph here, and you can see very easily what the bid was for.
I think I have an extra piece.
Well, here, Joe.
Here, there's another one.
Yeah, but I'm not.
I wrote their names at the top of these, cause it's hard to pick out who you're talking about unless you turn to the next page, so.
Oh, yeah, we can get that right.
Yeah, we ain't got these.
There, it's right here, same thing.
Okay, that's, yeah, but that's St. Joseph's.
Yeah, I don't know which one's which here, but there's all three. Well,
Okay, yeah.
the summary of it is a good deal is a little bit,
By
by a lot, by a long shot.
Oh, now, did we miss something?
Nope, Tyler looked
Or,
it
I
over,
mean-
everything's there, if you read that in his recommendation letter, right here. That explains all that, he's went back, looked it over, everything's there, he's talked with Scott, Scott's good with his number, he's comfortable, he can do the work for that, so.
If they're looking farther for that, then
His recommendation is to award the contract to Scott, good to us. And he has the contract here, so.
Yeah.
$54,000.
Yep. Okay, so,
Sums it up.
so we need to vote on that, or?
Yep,
I make a motion to accept Scott Goodhue's bid for the box culvert on Tyler Branch.
and here's the contract that you'll be signing between Scott, or Goodhue's Excavating and Town of Enosburgh. And I guess you can take the time to read it if you want. I think the last page is the page to sign. It's got it highlighted right there.
Would you touch right here, BJ, or
You
not?
probably got it right there.
there were stickers.
Sign this one if you would, because I will send it out to him tomorrow. But you may wanna look it over and see what he's got there.
You happy with it?
I haven't read it all in detail myself, I'm sure it's just the standard language of any contract.
Well, that's Scott's contract.
Yeah, this is the contract between the town and Scott. It's just generic language
Right.
between, it's language the state would use in contract between them and then he'll, once I send this to him, he'll meet up with Scott, Scott will sign it, and then we'll be ready to go.
No, so we probably need a motion, or no, yeah, we did, oh, we accepted, yeah. Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
She wrote, I think she wrote it down.
Okay.
That was that.
You seconded, you had a choice.
Oh, and
You had a choice.
I have one other thing too. The 32,000 that we sold the old
Yep.
ton 554, I'd like to put that into the equipment replacement fund.
So we usually do, right?
That's what we usually do, have done in the past.
Okay,
Why, you wanna go somewhere else?
help pay for that salt shed.
I'll move to put this 32,000 for the sale of the old town truck, the equipment replacement fund.
I will second that.
Alright, so moved and seconded, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Write that down, Jesse. Oh, Jesse's on
They're all gone. Alright,
Talking about me?
Nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, not a bit. Wouldn't even consider it.
I'll move to go into executive for personnel and contract
I'll
talks.
second.
moved and seconded that, we go into executive session for personnel and contract talks. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? So moved.